Welcome once again to CrossTalk. I'm here with Jonathan Feldstein of Heart to Heart in Israel. And Jonathan, before the break, we were talking about Heart to Heart and how you guys essentially serve as the sole organization responsible for emergency medical services, ambulances, and blood donation, blood services. And I know that I'm sure everybody in our audience knows that things have been a little heated over there lately. And I'm curious, on a regular average week in Israel, prior to the conflict, what's the need for blood?
On a regular average day, there's a need for 12 to 1,400 units to be donated. If we multiply that out times $100 per unit, you can get a sense of the price tag. It's not a cheap process, and that's in a normal situation. Today we're in a heightened situation. There's more blood needed. People are all the people who need elective surgeries and emergency surgeries and babies being born and all the other reasons why someone needs blood aren't going away. But there are many soldiers who have been injured on the battlefield right now, and we're providing all the blood for them as well.
When you say units, I think many times the audience might hear unit and think, okay, that's a measurement, but they might not understand what that means. I've donated blood several times, and I know that when that bag finishes going back and forth on the little seesaw that it's on, that unit is done. So a unit is a pint.
That is a pint, that's correct.
A pint of blood.
Correct.
And in a normal day, 12 to 1,400.
That's right.
In a heightened time, what's the number again?
In a heightened time, as many as possible.
As many as possible.
There's not a limit. There's not a limit. One of the challenges we know culturally in Israel is that many Israelis tend to donate annually, once a year, maybe twice a year, but majority of Israelis will donate annually. So one of the challenges, which we will then compensate for financially, is that Israelis now donating because of the war will have checked it off mentally for the year 2014 and not think about it again until 2015. And so for the balance of 2014, we're going to need to make extra sure that blood supply doesn't diminish because people mentally have already committed themselves.
It's a cultural thing that needs
Absolutely.
to kind of get shifted. In America, you know, I donate often, and I get a call every few months saying, hey, it's time to donate again. And so we try and set something up. Many times we do it at my church, where we'll set up a big blood drive at the church. You had told me a story of just one example in a recent conflict of a gentleman who had been injured and how the blood supply made a big difference.
Yeah, well, that was actually on the first day I organized a blood drive for Americans back in 2006. It was during Passover. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew it was a good idea. Turned out it was an amazing idea, and people go out of their way in Israel to be able to donate blood. But on this day, there was a terror attack in Tel Aviv. My recollection is 3 people were killed immediately and several injured. One of the probably the most grave injured was a 16-year-old American boy who required 80 units of blood in order to survive, in order to be able to live through the surgery. And as his father explained to me, the doctors were squeezing the blood into him as fast as possible while they could fix what was still bleeding and broken from the damage of the shrapnel of the suicide terrorist attack. And he survived, which was an incredible blessing and an incredible miracle, but an outrageous amount of blood that was needed. In the end, it didn't have a happy ending, but it was a great story nonetheless about how we really can't take for granted anything in life, and everything that we can do to save a life is critically important.
It's meaningful.
Absolutely.
It's meaningful. I think that we lose the connection between an act like that and how meaningful it is.
That's right.
As a believer who also happens to be Jewish, I can't very easily just go up to somebody in Israel and give them something that's going to bless them as much as somebody who's in need, and I give them my blood, life, the life coursing through my veins. I can donate in a tangible way, and allow that same life to give life to somebody
That's
else.
right.
There's a lot of meaning in that.
There's a tremendous amount of meaning. We have a lot of funny jokes that can come out of it, but there's a lot of meaning to know that if you were to be in Israel today and donate blood today, and that blood is being used within the next month, because blood has a shelf life typically of a month, that there could be as many as 3 different people who have your blood in their veins that sustain them. You do get a sense of, wow, we can give this gift. It's a miracle. It's an unbelievable privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah. There are probably many in our audience who are unable to travel to Israel for financial reasons, for time reasons, whatever it might be. But there's a tangible way they can still support what you're doing.
That's correct. So we created what's probably the world's first and maybe only virtual blood donation program, which means you can't physically pack up a unit of blood and send it in a FedEx box over to Jerusalem. That would not be safe or advised. But
please don't do that.
Please don't.
We
do
really
this.
ask that
Right.
you don't.
Right. But you can come onto our website and sponsor a unit of blood for $100 or a unit of platelets for $25, because we'll break the blood into its 3 components in the same way that not everyone can afford $100, can't afford to be in Israel right now, but wants to be or might eventually be. $100 is manageable for most people, but for someone for whom it's not manageable, $25 is much more manageable. So we've really brought this to as grassroots a level as possible in order to be able to have as many people as possible participate, not just because we need it, but because we know that there's a demand for it, and it's our privilege to be able to help fulfill that demand.
And when you say they can virtually donate blood, by giving $100, how does that $100 get spent to get the blood?
So we allocate money annually to the blood services, and the intention is that it should be over and above, not money that's going toward the computerization or the blood bags or the things that we're necessarily doing anyway. But if an extra shaker just to keep the blood moving while it's coming out of someone's body is needed, then great. If an extra machine is needed that costs $500,000, but there simply aren't enough resources, because as we discussed off air before, it's a money-losing business the moment you turn the lights on, because the government regulates how much money that the organization can charge the hospitals for, which is far below the cost that it actually takes to process that unit of blood. So we're providing financial resources over and above that which would be in the normal realm, and we leave that to the discretion of the director of the blood services to determine what's necessary.
Well, we're nearing the end of this program, running out of time. I believe that there are people in our audience who care about blessing Israel in a tangible way, who recognize the current conflict that's taking place, and there's people regularly saying, "What can I do? What can I do? I see all of this conflict. I see the news. I see this issue going on, and I feel helpless because there's just nothing I can do." Well, there are a few things you can do. First, you can pray. And we continually pray for the peace of Jerusalem. It has more meaning right now than many times, but we can pray for the peace of Jerusalem. But you can also donate. You can donate blood. You can donate finances to give blood. We want to stand with Israel, and so I want you to do a few things. I want you to pray. I want you to go to our Facebook page, CrossTalk TV, just facebook.com/CrossTalk TV, and I want you to just post a comment there. I stand with Israel. I stand with Israel. And if you don't want to, if you don't know how to get to our page, post it on your page. Say, I stand with Israel. If you're a Twitter fan, then you can tweet us at CrossTalk TV. You can tweet me at Scrapper24. I stand with Israel. Stand with Israel. And if you're able to give financially, shoot me an email, josh@crosstalk.org. Send us a letter in the mail. Go to our website. Find a way and let us know that you want to donate towards giving blood to Israel. You want to help tangibly give life to people in Israel. Stick with us. Next week, we're going to be continuing to talk with Jonathan Feldstein from Heart to Heart, and I trust that you'll be blessed. God bless and shalom.